So we've got a great panel. Thanks. I'd like to say more. Cards are out in the lobby. Send me an email. Let me know that you want to get involved in this. I'm not trying to make money off it. I do really well with my studios and the 9 shows that I make already in my 6 or 7 channels. And I've done it, and I know it works. And I'm willing to share it with you. I'll sell it to you. So, Kate Neligan, come on up, please. I'm going to let each one of our panelists introduce themselves because I want everybody to take this moment to slip into consciousness, heart to heart, spontaneous. As you can see, nobody's showing media, nobody's showing videos, nobody's doing anything. We took the media out of this presentation and really, it's chosen to be about the conscious. Seth Blaustein. These are all people that are doing really great work. And you know, I've seen so much in the conscious media field of, I really want to be part of enlightenment as long as I can be the one selling it. You've got to change that. It's not about being the one selling it. It's about being selfless. Joe Martino. I'm going to concede the floor. I've given everybody a lot to talk about, and hopefully I've given a lot to you guys to think about, and I'll chime in from time to time. But this isn't about me. This discussion is about all of us and where we're going to go and how we are going to be in control of our destiny so that we can best help shape the destiny of the planet.
Sure, I'm Kate Neligan. I'm the founder of Synergy TV Network. I'm also a life coach, author, and speaker. Synergy TV Network was essentially something born through my master's program in spiritual psychology, where I had my own wake-up. I was working at Lionsgate for a while. I was a VP at 31 and had an incredible life, except I wasn't happy and I knew there was something else for me and something I was supposed to do. And so that program allowed me to really take my background and my passion and create a conscious media channel. In 2008, the idea came in 11/11/11. We launched, and the current site that you see was created in 2012, synergytvnetwork.com. And the intention of it is really to mirror the best of humanity. So we pulled in hundreds of videos that are best of YouTube, really for the intention to uplift, inspire, entertain, and educate. And I just was tired of seeing all the negativity on YouTube, whether it's from the comments or the videos that were not so and I wanted to create a sanctuary and a place. And for me, it was a personal, important journey because I had to counterbalance what I was doing at Lionsgate at the time, which was selling a lot of horror programming, and actually do something that was in alignment with who I am.
My name is Seth Blaustein. It's great to be here. How are you guys all doing? Is everybody having fun? This is awesome. Really good job. My background's in film production, producing, and directing. And then more recently, over the last 5 years, I started a conference and festival called Voice and Exit, which is I think of it kind of like a visualization of the flourishing world that we all know is possible inside. And so it is an immersive experience that is meant to be a staged transformation for attendees. But we explore new paradigms across the board of governance, journalism, medicine, education. We want to explore and visualize a holistic worldview of what a positive, flourishing world actually looks like and embody that through the experience of bringing ourselves there in the mental space and the imaginal space. So very passionate about storytelling, using archetypes to awaken virtue. I'm really glad that was brought up earlier, Giselle. I think that is a missing conversation, is bringing back classical virtue into media and storytelling. And one other thing I also want to say is that a lot of the conversation today has been about digital media, print media, but there is a lot more, and I think this new paradigm that we're talking about with media goes way way beyond that, also into the whole world itself. You know, and I'm biased towards this because I put on an event which generates a lot of media, but the transformation that happens in the space of the event, that is the medium. And so, you know, things like Johnny Ronca's Love on Revolution, or even, you know, this Third Eye Tonic, out in the real world, you can create media, a medium, something that can influence people positively. So.
My name is Joe Martino. My background is in 4 unfinished diplomas and degrees. I jumped around a lot in the education system, and it happened to be my awakening point. Ever since I was super young, I always thought education was kind of, you know, I'm sure we all have opinions, but, you know, it left a lot to be desired for, and that was kind of the point where I said to myself, you know, this can't be it. We can't really, as I was getting, you know, a little bit older into the ages where you're in university and that sort of stuff, and I was hopping around from diploma to diploma, I said, there's no way that life can be, I'm going to finish this and go and work, and that's all. And I started to get a lot of anxiety at that point. And through that, I had a lot of exploration into consciousness, myself, how my beliefs were formed, all that sort of stuff. And then from there, birthed Collective Evolution, which is an organization with the core mission and the core focus of, you know, spreading the message that change starts within. So, you know, whatever we're going to recreate on this planet in terms of a new world, as we like to call it, or, you know, redefining the systems and structures that govern this world, as well as, you know, who we are as people and how we express ourselves. I believe all of that is going to birth from us changing within first, and then, you know, taking that action to go and do that in the real world.
So, you know, as we listen to the panel start, it comes to mind that people like Seth, and everybody in general, but where he's focusing, I was recently the MC for the Architects of the New Paradigm Conference. And that was a lot of guys that are doing the nuts and bolts work. People that are working on, well, how do we have this new economy? How do we get rid of poverty in the world? And there was a lot of people coming up with these ideas in what we would call the real world, non-esoteric situations. And then we have people that are coming at it from a purely consciousness standpoint, and then we have people in between. And so there's a lot of topics for conscious media creators to cover, even if you don't want to produce your own stuff. These new formats for how we're going to run life on planet Earth are all being developed now, and we are not going to survive without choosing some and implementing them. And so I'd be interested in everybody in the panel just kind of chiming in on how important it is to integrate conscious media with facilitating conscious and proactive evolution on the planet, and what any of you might think is a real issue that is close to your heart and needs to be addressed, and how you would like to help, if possible, to make those changes.
I have thoughts about that.
I knew we would.
I think that one of the most important things to understand is sort of some of the nuanced difference between types of storytellers. So a lot of, I guess I would see it in 2 broad categories. One being journalists and people telling what is, you know, the things that are today or happened in the past. And then there's also the storytellers that are kind of the imaginal wayfinders or showing visions of the future that we can be inspired by, that can then change our behavior as individuals and our consciousness, and reflect and become the world that we live in. I mean, everything that we see around us was created in the imagination first, right? We all know that on a deep level, but we lose sight of that. It was all created through the imagination. And so I see that the first category is critically important for having a real understanding of where things are in the world. And the second is sort of the showing us what is possible and going there as individuals and thinking through, you know, when we say conscious, a conscious era or an era of conscious media, what is an era that is conscious? What does that look like? What are the principles? What are the virtues of that sort of world? And let's imagine it. Let's create that, as Joe said, internally. Let's make that transformation and internalize that first, and then watch that reflect out into the world. And I know we're in an audience where we're talking about quantum physics as it relates to journalism here. But on that level, journalism is sort of when the waveform function collapses into an observable reality. This is the way that things are. And storytellers, the filmmakers, the people who are kind of showing the archetypes of the future, have an opportunity to play more in the wave side of things before it collapses into reality. And I believe that we need a lot more firepower in the role that Hollywood is playing now, showing often nightmares that are awakening archetypes of nightmares, which can serve a purpose to wake you up. But we also need those positive visions of what do the heroes of the future look like? What do the companies of the future look like? How can we use storytelling to show that? So that's what I believe is we need to be visioneering the future through media as well as telling how things are and providing that level of truth in the current form.
Yeah, I would agree with that in the sense of the mirror analogy. So, on the channel, what I wanted to create was that people could go and have, if they lost their faith in humanity, it would be restored by watching all of these humans from around the globe doing really everything on there is an expose on something inspiring that's happening, whether it's a true story of someone, whether it be a kid or an adult. This is a way for us to start to see ourselves through a lens of what's possible and how. So it's great if you're not feeling well to go and literally binge watch, because there's so much other stuff that I look at media and entertainment as food, right? And how does it affect us physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually? So we have to ingest stuff that raises our vibration if we, as a collective society, are going to raise our vibration and do things at a level that is more heart-centered, that is helpful, that is creating conscious choice in the world. So I think having that is important. Conscious media is one of the best ways to inspire conscious evolution. And that we need to create more of these stories. We need to share our own stories. So what's personal and relevant to me and from my space as a coach is really about nature and returning to nature. So being inside of a corporate office for so long and losing connection with my body even and earth was something that I experienced and created a lot of disconnect and disharmony for me. And now I actually bring people into nature with horses to have them become embodied versions of the heart and to be able to have that whole system, creating synergy at an individual level. So what's important for me now is that we tell more stories about nature and animals and how they're here as spiritual teachers and why they're important as well. So in many ways, it's really finding these stories. It's creating them and finding these stories and creating ways that we can have a place for people to go and experience this. Because I know with me, sometimes I just need to cry to get connected again, or I need to smile to remember why I'm here, to feel good here. And that's why, I created what I did. I just wanted that experience for more people on the planet.
I think when it comes to media, obviously, with Collective Evolution, we're reaching a lot of people, and so inevitably you get a lot of comments, you get a lot of emails, some of which people are angry, some of which people are, they're happy. And I think, when it comes down to it, you look at the world today, and you look at what's going on, and it's easy, we'll say, to get afraid, or to feel like, oh my gosh, our future is so uncertain, or we could destroy ourselves, there could be destruction. And while I think there's some truth to that, I've never, in the course of my journey over the past 8 years, doing what I've been doing, had any worry or fear whatsoever about anything that we were going through. Because to me, we wouldn't be going through this massive shift in consciousness if it wasn't leading somewhere where we didn't destroy ourselves. That's just my personal feeling. It's something I feel deep inside. And so through that, and having that lens of never actually worrying, we hear about the things that are supposedly upcoming, and it's bad news, it's destruction, and I just don't see it as something we need to worry about. I see it as something we need to take action on, and that action will come from inside and from our souls and from our deepest self. But if you notice, our deepest self isn't emotional. Our deepest self isn't something that panics and freaks out and says, we need to start doing this, that, and whatever. Our deepest self is something that goes, there's the path, let's go and do it. And so with media and how Collective Evolution has tried to do this, is we always look at the events that are taking place, the stuff that's going on out there, and saying, okay, it might be scary, the natural reaction might be to freak out about it, but how can we bring that higher perspective, so to speak, that soul into all the stuff that we produce? How can we now take that from a very metaphysical point of view and put it on a computer screen in a very practical way, talking about very practical things, and allow that sort of soul and essence to speak through in the content? And that, I think, is something that's hugely important and what helps to become conscious media, because it's sort of igniting this feeling inside somebody that sort of flicks this little light inside us that says, oh yeah, I remember. I remember why we're here. I remember what this is about, and I remember I don't need to worry and I don't need to panic, and that the solutions are there. But the solutions come when we take that moment and relax and say, okay, what do we need to do next? Where do we need to go? And so, to me, that's an important facet. And I think with each of us as individuals, going back to the message that I'm so passionate about, and we're so passionate about it, Collective Evolution, which is change starts within, is that we won't change anything in our external world. And again, we know this through quantum physics. We won't change anything in our external world if we don't first change inside ourselves. We don't change our perspectives. And so, I guess I'd like just a reminder, it's easy to get worked up, it's easy to get angry, it's easy to have fear about what we're going through, it's easy to be fearful that Trump is in power. There's so much talk about it, but I honestly believe it is 100% perfect and exactly what we need. And you can't say that, but then turn around and say, we're in for the worst times of our lives. Because I honestly and truly believe that if you understand within yourself the reality that, what is playing out is perfect, and that we didn't co-create this together unless we needed it, then, it's got to be true no matter what, and you've got to embrace that within ourselves.
Well, I totally agree with that, and I'm not sounding like it, because at the end of the day, we're not in the fear-mongering business, and like you said, at the end of the day, we're co-creating a reality that we are going to be experiencing together. I think that the awareness of the potential pitfalls is not to be put out in a manner that spreads fear and makes people react out of fear, because that's unhealthy, but to examine change and really take a look at what are the realities of this. It's not the same as fear-based propaganda or a fear-based attitude. It's just we're living in a consensus reality where we're all creating it together, the people in this room and the people on this planet. And if we go out and we talk to each other and we say, well, hey, are we facing global warming? Did Antarctica just have its hottest day ever? Is the Miami flooding already? These things are happening, and we do have to take action to change it. We can visualize that action. We can take a metaphysical path to that action, or people that aren't familiar with the metaphysical path can take whatever action they think they're taking in the real world, while inside, and even without their knowledge, they take a metaphysical path. Because at the end of the day, we're creating our own reality. But the reality that we create can have outcomes, and it is good to be aware of it. But you make a fantastic point that everything you said is true, but it also speaks to the fact that we're living in a situation where things are happening, and it's unhealthy to be afraid, but it's healthy to be aware. And so I think finding that fine line, how you deliver it, how you perceive it, is really important. So, let's shift on, because I've been talking about repurposing the purpose of media. Movies are made to sell you spectacle in full theaters. Old traditional television is made to sell you products. And the idea that we create enlightening media for the sake of enlightening is fairly new and mostly impossible because of the democratization of media across the web. And I spoke earlier about new platforms, and I'm not trying to make it sound like it's all about money, because it's not. It's all about being able to create. And so as you guys see the new platforms coming in, and the new approaches, aggregated content, putting stuff behind paywalls, subscription-based, not sharing your stuff with people that are going to take more of it than you. What are you guys' comments on the next generation of media and how it can benefit financially the filmmakers and therefore mostly the people out there that are getting access to the media? And can it do both, and should it? And should we be thinking about that? Go, Joe.
I'll personally say that I think we're stepping into an undefined space to some degree. I think you can see it all over the place. The membership form of monetization is definitely we're in the early stages of it still to some degree, but we're also in kind of like, it is the future in a sense. I mean, I'm not saying that that's the future 5-10 years from now. I'm saying right now it feels like this is it, and over the next couple of years, that's what people are going to be focused on. I'm actually very curious to see what will be, quote unquote, that next way of monetizing, because the way we work and the way we function is we're obviously utilizing advertising under strict standards that through different networks, and then some direct. And now for us, I mean, we give up a lot of money every month by not running advertising that we just don't want to add to our website. However, that limits to some degree the amount we could do. You know, we've been talking a lot about, trying to make consciousness pop culture in some degree, and by that it just means to make it such a big conversation, something that's so popular and out there that it starts to foster that creation of change that we're kind of all asking for. And, in order for that to happen, there has to be enough consciousness behind that idea. In order to get that, we need to make more people aware, so we need to get it in front of more people. So how do you do that in a world that's material? Well, unfortunately, you need money right now, to really get on that stage. And so I think it's interesting to kind of look at everything that's going on and say, there's all these models emerging, and I do think business is redefining itself. And I see greater relationships going on where you connect directly to whether it's products, brands, businesses that you truly believe in and that do support a better world in a sense. Perhaps like this tonic that you have over there, or an event like this that might be able to come to you as a publisher and say, hey, let's try and help each other out financially. I believe that is something of the future. I think there's definitely room in there for a ad network to come out that is entirely based around conscious companies and pushing that forward. Would I jump on and support that 100% as a publisher? However, I know how much work it is to do something like that and how much money it truly costs to make it happen. But I even think the world of what's going on with how people are engaging with content and how they're finding it, social media, all that sort of stuff, is changing. Everything's becoming about communities now, micro-communities. How can we do it where we can come together in smaller spaces and have true connection and true meaning, as opposed to let's take over the entire world with our one platform, which I think is a thing of the past and something that won't necessarily be the answer moving forward. So, as much as I said there, I honestly think there's a lot of undefined areas when it comes to this topic, and I think it leaves a lot for us to create, and it leaves a lot of opportunity to kind of understand, what do we want to create? What do we want? Our economy in general is in the scale of like it could fall apart at any moment. Again, in the best way possible. This isn't something to be freaking out about, But so what does that mean? That means, so does the means as to which we fund our lives and do things like that. And again, it just comes down to I don't believe when CDs were coming out, I don't think all the people that were making tapes at the time were, I do think they were shitting their pants, like, oh my god, what are we going to do once CDs come out? Our tapes are going to be, useless. But what happened to all those people? They're totally fine. They moved on to a new business, a new venture. There might have been some challenges, but we all know what challenges do for us. We learn, we grow. So I don't think this is something you're going to wake up one morning and everything's going to be a complete disaster. I think whatever is going to happen, the shifts, the transitions we're going through, whatever they look like, will be done in the right pace that we can all handle, and we'll be in the right place at the right time. And you just got to be connected and willing to take action on stuff.
I'm going to leave room for Kate, but I'll just say a couple of things here. I think that it is all changing, and it is a kind of new frontier about where monetization and how just supporting media creators is going to come from. So on one end, there's a lot of new opportunity. I think a lot of people are focusing on things like membership and affiliate. Also, lining up really good, healthy, overlapping, valued companies with media creators essentially takes them. Don't push the responsibility away from yourself as a media consumer, and you don't have to look at it as a capitalistic, money making. They're making all this money on this movie. Look at it as people who poured creative, conscious energy into something that you are going to enjoy and get value from, and look at the conscious. Be conscious as a consumer too. Is what is the honest way to treat that person, that group of thousands of people, often with big films, that put in their years of work into this for what, $5 on Amazon to rent it? So it goes both ways in a conscious era. I do think we have to work with the paradigm we are in to some degree while creating the new ones. But I do think it is our responsibility to hold integrity with someone who created something and is asking for a certain level of exchange of energy for that, to respect that.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with you. I feel like something new is coming, and we were talking about that before, and I can't say that I know exactly what that is. I do know that we launched something called Gift, Play, Love, which is really a way of gifting video, because to me, I was tapping into the gifting economy as something that's happening, and I see it happening a lot in the coaching world of like us trading our gifts and services and helping each other in that way. And that's an energy exchange. And I do think there's systems that don't necessarily work anymore that, and I've struggled myself with like, what is the right monetization plan when you have these older systems of subscription or download or video on demand or membership or whatnot, where, often the creator, the filmmaker is left out. And so like when I left the corporate role, I was like, how can we empower the creator more? Because it's their idea, it's their labor of love, and why is, the big name taking all of, the pie for it? So I think there's new things coming, but I think we as like great minds have to connect and figure out what that is. And as you said, like, what do we actually want to create? Because we can create it. We can manifest this new system, but what is that, and how do we all win in that system, right? And how is it synergistic so that the whole... I think as a community, we have to stay in touch with what are the models, and then and listen, and bring in and channel in what are the new models, and how we can manifest. And as, as a coach or thought leader, a lot of the stuff that happens in my life happens for free, or happens through intention and manifestation. So it's like, I didn't pay to be a TEDx speaker, I didn't pay to be a Huffington Post blogger. They're all through my network, they're all through my connections, they're all through asking and manifesting and intention. And as a conscious community, we can use those spiritual gifts to manifest our work out in the world, and receiving the gifts back that we want to receive through that cycle of intention and receiving. So that's just what I have.
It's been a diverse panel, and we're almost out of time. But I'd like to compliment Joe on what he said about advertising, because you're never going to be able to completely separate these two. But it illustrates further the need for us to come together as conscious creators to form some sort of alliance or association to spell out these standards. Because if we choose to evolve our own businesses and encourage other businesses to evolve, and one of those encouragements that we could put out is, hey, we have an advanced, highly intellectual audience that cares about the future. And if you want to reach that audience through our people, you've got to run your business to a certain set of standards and integrity. And we can put that out. So, Joe, it's like you said, when you're taking on advertisers, you're picking companies based on whether they are going to be compatible with your audience. When your audience buys a product, takes it home in 10 years, they're not dead from cancer, right? So at the end of the day, we have even more power to influence companies around us, because the bigger our audience gets, the more people we can reach, the more we can ask from the rest of the world to fit that. And that is how that paradigm shifts. And I always say that the 100th monkey isn't going to happen if the 99th monkey doesn't say something to him. And so it's not enough anymore to just change from the inside. We have to change from the inside. Then we have to stand on the tallest mountain and shout the message to everybody, because we can facilitate that change even better. We need this thousands of money. And so it's so exciting what we can do right here in this room. Think about the Conscious Media Alliance. My business cards are out there. I'm not doing it for any personal gain. First 20 people that email me can be on the steering committee, and everybody else that emails me can be on the voting committee for the first set of written definitions of conscious media, the first set of charters that we would agree to adhere to as conscious media filmmakers, and Joe, how about the first set of standards for advertisers that would join our conscious media networks?
One good thing I just want to throw in as we're talking about advertising, it's like, on our site alone, I see so many conscious companies that are, paying Google to run ads on our site. And I'm just thinking to myself, like, why don't we just talk to each other and cut Google out of it and we'll just run it together? It's like, this is part of the whole thing. It's coming together, work together, and make the connections and the communication, because there's no reason why Google should be taking 40-50% of the spend that some companies doing, when they could just come and support a conscious media publisher somewhere. And even if we say, hey, we'll do it cheaper with each other because we're all going to make more money in the end anyway, at least we're working together direct as opposed to going through Google. It's not to say that Google's not doing good work, they are doing some good stuff, but I'm just going to throw it out there.
So everybody, let's be inspired. Take it back so that you can make the most